day everyone. So for today's discussion, we will discuss about the fusion and overlapping interrelated elements, graffiti, poetry performance, performance art, and the digital art. The objective for today's discussion are know what is meant by fusion and overlapping and interrelated in art, recognize graffiti, poetry performance, art performance, and digital art, also its important and present time. Get to know the prominent artists and their medium. Art speaks where words are unable to explain by threadless artist Matthew. As we start our presentation, sit back, relax, and enjoy watching and listening.
Hello, good day everyone. My name is Carla Isilagan and today I will be discussing about the fusions and overlapping and interrelated elements. So art fusion comes in various combinations of products with paintings or collaborations of products to be used by the means of arts. So it is basically a two-factor collaboration in creating a masterpiece. Art fusion has proliferated over the past few decades, but example of collaboration started way back in 1930s. So at first, fine artists and fashion designers were the undergo to engage art fusions. So the fusion of the art shows the collaboration of human with products added with bright color, and that is red. Yet he also had the different colors, by the way. In addition, art fusion is also an art that would represent different way of showing one's culture and traditional. Yeah, so therefore, different art fusion can be shown as an example for an art is being shown below of the painting of Mona Lisa, which is a different part of the world shows. So art fusion is also a better known to saying it in a way that it is more toward showing art with a fusion of modern way of portraying an art. History and examples. As what I had said a while ago that art fusion has proliferated over the past decades, but example of this collaboration date back as far as 1930s. So fine artists and fashion designers were the first to engage in this new breed of partnership. The first high-profile union being the Salvatore Dali and Elsa Schiaparelli in 1933. Andy Warhol and Yves Saint Laurent collaborated in 1960s and recently. So the idea gained has the momentum of the movement with different types of artists collaborating with many different types of brands. So as what I had said a while ago, that different types of artists collaborating with many different types of brands. So we can't deny the fact that we will be questioning about how art fusion benefits the brands. So it is a well-chosen, well-planned, well-executed collaboration can have a positive effect. So when we talk about the positive effects on a brand, it can bring the new signs and talk value, create a feelings of innovation and excitement. So and generate genuine interest in the stayed or even forgotten brands. So it can be used to activate a quiet brand and can often be effective in introducing it to a whole new audience. So if we have the how art fusion benefits the brands, so we have also the how art fusion benefits the brands or the artist, by the way. So art has a profound impact on society's capacity to grow and evolve and embrace changes. So it is the foreseer and the destroyer of the status quo. So the artists have voices that must be heard to nurture our society's soul. So something art fusion can amplify. It is a collaboration with a brand can give the artist the ability to produce work that will reach a new and wider audience, gain notoriety for their future work, or simply by a means to permit culture in places their art wouldn't otherwise be seen. So therefore, how art fusion benefits artists simply that artists have voices that must be heard also, and it can be nurture to our society's soul. So something art fusion can amplify. What is overlapping? Overlapping has length and width but no depth. So overlapping in art is the placement of objects over one another in order to create the illusion of depth. So painting is a two-dimensional artistic expression. It is necessary, therefore, for artists to provide viewers with some sort of perspective in establishing sizes and distance in painting. So, this is where the overlapping come into play. If everything in painting was of the same basic size without overlapping, there would be no way for viewers to distinguish small but important details, such as who or what is closest to or farthest from the viewers. Overlapping turns paintings into windows of sorts by creating the illusion that there is an entire world inside the canvas and that viewers are merely getting a glimpse of it. So overlapping was an aspect of works of an art form that emerged just before the middle of 20th century called the abstract expressionism. Many abstract expressionist paintings are simply a series of overlapping lines or shapes. So, overlapping can also be used to blur the lines or where one thing starts and another begins. So, like Pablo Picasso's painting, The Three Musicians is an excellent example of this. The famous Cubist painting appears to be comprised of paper cutouts positions to create the illusion that the three musicians merge. Interrelated. So, when we talk about interrelated, it is about your mood and whether or not you ate breakfast this morning might be interrelated, yes. So, interrelated are the things which is connected, they complement or depend on each other.
And now let's talk about graffiti and poetry performance. Graffiti can be defined as any inscription or any surface, usually public buildings or walls. The origins of graffiti can be tracked back to ancient times or even before, including the Roman Empire and the ancient Greece. Inscriptions have been found in the walls of ancient ruins, not only on the Roman Greece, but also in the certain Mayan sites. Graffiti is the plural of the Italian word for fito, meaning a scratch. The word graffiti, along with the English word graphic, are terms derived from the Greek word graphite, meaning to read. In 300,000 BC started the earliest form of graffiti in the form of prehistoric painting and pictographs. In 1960s, the signature of tags of the well-known Philadelphia graffiti writer Cornbread, Cool Earl, and the Top Cat 126 started to appear. And in 1970 to 1971, the Center of Graffiti Innovation moved to New York City, where writers following the wake of Taki 183 and the Tracy 168. The Taki 183 was one of the first graffiti artists to gain media attention in New York. The goal of many artists at this point was to get up as many tags as possible. Graffiti today is a real exhibition of skill. It is a way to express your ideas and belief through artwork that everyone will see. It is also adding to the history and the story of building a city, and the history continues to grow every day. Poetry performance is a poetry that is specifically composed for or during performance before an audience. During the 1980s, the term came into popular usage to describe poetry written or composed exclusively for performance and not for print distribution. Whereas, poetry reading featured poets reading their printed books for a live audience, some of which were recorded on audio media. Performance poets use a different style of writing poetry that is least conducive to print and better suited for their oral presentation. The term performance poetry originated from an early press release describing the 1980s performance poet Hedwig Gursky, whose audio recording achieved successful in spoken word radio programs around the world. Performance poets relied more on the rhetorical and philosophical expression in their poetics that performance artists, whose arose from the visual art genres of paintings and sculptures. Currently, poetry performance around the world are creating festivals, going viral, and giving the activities traditional alive.
Performance art. It is a time-based art form that typically features a live presentation to an audience or to onlookers, and draws on such arts as acting, poetry, music, dance, and painting. It is generally an event rather than an artifact, by nature ephemeral, though it is often recorded on video and by means of still photography. Performance art also has its origins in the early 20th century, and it is closely identified with the progress of the avant-garde, beginning with Futurism. The Futurist attempt to revolutionize culture included performative evenings of poetry, music played on newly invented instruments, and a form of drastically distilled dramatic presentations. Such elements of futurist events as simultaneity and noise music were subsequently refined by artists of the Dada movement, which made great use of live art. Both futurists and Dadaists worked to confound the barrier between actor and performer, and both capitalized on publicity value of shock and outrage. An early theorist and protectionist in avant-garde theater was the German artist Oskar Schlemmer, who taught at the Bauhaus from 1920 to 1929, and is perhaps best known for the Striatic Ballet, which called for complex movements and elaborate costumes. In the present time, performance art was characterized by improvisation, spontaneity, audience interaction, and political agitation. It also became a favorite strategy of feminist artists such as the Guerrilla Mask Guerrilla Girls, whose mission was to expose sexism, racism, and corruption, mainly in the art world, as well as of the artists elsewhere in the world, such as the Chinese artist Zhang Wan. Popular manifestations of the genre can be seen in the Blue Man Group and such events as the Burning Man Festival, held annually in the Black Rock Desert, Nevada. Digital art. Digital art is a term used to describe art that is made or presented using digital technology. The first use of the term digital art was in the early 1980s when computer engineers devised a paint program which was used by the pioneering digital artist Harold Cohen. This became known as Aeron, a robotic machine designed to make large drawings on sheets of paper placed on the floor. Since this early foray into artificial intelligence, Cohen continued to fine-tune the Aeron program as technology became more sophisticated. Digital art can be computer-generated, scanned, or drawn using a tablet and a mouse. In the 1990s, thanks to improvements in digital technology, it was possible to download video onto computers, allowing artists to manipulate the images they had filmed with a video camera. This gave artists a creative freedom never experienced before with film, allowing them to cut and paste within moving images to create visual collages. In recent time, some digital art was become interactive, allowing the audience a certain amount of control over the final image.